Adjusted my lighting in this video 75 times. If it doesn't work out, you can blame me. This is just how life is working out this week. Let's just get this out of the way. I cut well, I didn't do it because I don't have those skills. Cut like 5 inches, cut off my hair today. This is the shortest my hair has been in a long time. Let's hope that I adjust to this haircut because right now I feel like I've lost a part of myself, and I know that seems ridiculous. I made the decision to cut it this short. I wanted something a little bit shorter and more manageable. All I was doing, if I'm being completely honest, was braiding it to the side. It looked like Katniss Everdeen didn't survive any of the Hunger Games every single day of my life. Just a little preamble intro to this video has gotten real long and confusing. That's how we do things here. Let's jump into this book haul. Hey guys, and welcome back. Like the title of this video says, I am going to be sharing a book haul with all of you. Now, this is definitely a cumulative book haul. I will say all of these books were purchased either in July or right here in the beginning of August. So I have books from 3 different places. I have them from Fireside Books, which is my favorite local bookstore in Palmer, Alaska, and then Barnes & Noble, and I have a couple, actually just one book that I ordered from Amazon. So we'll start with ones that were purchased at Barnes & Noble. These were all purchased at the same time. And these are books for the kids. So what I'm going to be doing here is I'm going to be sharing book-related videos more frequently on this channel, including books for the kids. Some of the books that the kids read, I also read, or I also am reading because they will be part of like our homeschool curriculum. These are ones I picked up at Barnes & Noble. I picked up a Who Was Roald Dahl book. I picked this up because we are going to be reading a lot of Roald Dahl books here this year for homeschool. All of the kids are, and I just figured this is a cool book to get to know, you know, the author behind some of the books that we already thoroughly love and appreciate in this household. The next 3 were all books that were picked out for the kids to read. Now this one, all of the kids were interested in, and I think this is going to end up being one that we start our school year off with, and it's just this really nice, like perfectly soft, like that's always been very, very satisfying to me, soft cover book. And this is The Land of Stories, the first one, and the first one is The Wishing Spell, and this is by Chris Colfer, I believe is how you pronounce his name. Now, Chris Colfer is an actor who was on Glee, and then he wrote this basically kind of like young adult, I would say, ish book series. I think actually it might be more even on like the beginner reader spectrum of the young adult spectrum. But this is one that I will probably be reading to the kids, and it just says, I'm just going to read the synopsis on the back because I haven't read the book at all yet. Alex and Connor Bailey's world is about to change. When the twins' grandmother gives them a treasured fairy tale book, they have no idea they're about to enter a land beyond all imagining, the land of stories where fairy tales are real. And I believe this is the first book, I believe there are 4 of them now, so I'm excited to get started on that series, and I hope it's one that the kids and I can kind of enjoy together. This next one is one that Nikolai picked out. He likes these books, and when it comes to the kids, I don't have very many rules about what they are reading other than I want them reading books that are somewhere between at their current reading level and a little bit beyond so that they're challenging themselves and improving their reading level. But then when it comes to interest or what they want to read, I'm not limiting that in any way. Nikolai is really into these My Big Fat Zombie Goldfish books. This is the sequel, funny pun down there, sequel. And he really liked the first one, and this is by Mo O'Hara, and it's just like a chapter book, again, a soft paperback book, and it's something about a boy rescued Frankie the goldfish from his brother's evil science experiment by bringing him back to life, and now it's a zombie goldfish. Nell picked out this book for herself. It is called Remarkable. She's a regular kid in a not so regular town. I kind of led her to this one because this is one of those ones where in terms of her reading level, Danielle is a 2nd grader, or well, yeah, I guess it's August, so school is officially about to start in about 11 days. This one was written by Lizzie K. Foley, and the synopsis says, everyone in Remarkable is remarkable. Everyone except Jane, that is. While the rest of the town of Remarkable is busy being talented, gifted, or just plain extraordinary, she's never been anything but ordinary. But when Jane finds herself in a school with the mischievous Grimlet twins and befriends a strange pirate captain, her life suddenly gets a lot more interesting and a lot less ordinary. As a series of adventure puts the whole town in danger, she knows that it's up to her, in her own modest way, to save the day. And in the end, Jane might just find that she's pretty remarkable after all. I thought this was a really cute little book. Just from the synopsis, and it's got adventure and kind of a little bit of fantasy to it, and right in line with what Danielle and the kids are interested in reading. What we usually do with our books is the first kid reads the book, and then it goes into a shared book bin, and then I cycle them back out into the kids' book bins, and then everybody can kind of read them. They get utilized, like we get our money's worth out of each book. The next book is Liliana's from Barnes & Noble, and this is Ivy and Bean. This is the very first one by Anne Barrows and Sophie Blackall. Liliana had another Ivy and Bean book that was purchased for her by myself. I didn't realize it was a series at the time, so I think I purchased her like book 8 and she read it, and then we realized when we were at Barnes & Noble, oh, there's like a whole series, let's jump back to one. It's just Ivy and Bean, two friends who never meant to like each other, and Bean plays a trick on her sister basically. Ivy comes to the rescue with her wand and face paint and a bucket of worms. Will they end up in trouble? Maybe. Will they have fun? Of course. And I think it's kind of like a little mystery friends series. Everything else from Barnes & Noble is right here, and these are my books that I picked out for myself. Now some of them, well, one of them for sure, I'm going to be doing an individual book video on the series itself, and that is this one right here, so I'm not going to spend a ton of time on it. This is Red Queen by Victoria Aveyard. The second book I read on my Kindle, or my Kindle app. So there's 3 apps that I use when it comes to reading and books. The first is Goodreads, and everything that I mention here that I can find on Goodreads, I'm going to have there, and I will be linking my Goodreads profile below so you guys can find everything there. And then I have my Kindle app that is on my phone. I also have a Kindle and another tablet, but I just tend to read on my phone. And the second book in this one is called Glass Sword. So I've actually read both of them. So I'm going to kind of do a singular video for the series itself and go into it. But basically, just a quick synopsis. This book kind of takes place in this futuristic world where there's 2 types of people. There's red bloods and white bloods, and the red bloods, like their blood is red, and the white bloods, their blood is white. It's the most basic way of putting it. Those who have white blood have like powers of some sort, and those who are red blood are more like the peasant, like bottom line, like the king and all of the royal court have white blood. And it takes place with this girl, and I need to look up and see if her name is pronounced Mare, because it's M-A-R-E, or if it's supposed to be like Marie. I'm not quite sure, but it's about her and how her world is divided by blood. And I read this book so quickly, I purchased the other one when I was in Manly. Like, I got connected to Wi-Fi and downloaded the second book because I read this in a day, if I'm being completely honest, because I was on chapter 2 when Justin went to work at 7 in the morning, and when he came home at 7 at night, I was done with this one and was on to the second one. So it's a really good book, and like I said, I'm going to do a separate book about it. These next 2 books are books that I purchased for myself to kind of hone in my writing skills and then like assess where I'm at in life and different things. I find like when I have writing prompts and things to work on, I just feel a little bit more satisfied and accomplished in life, if that makes any sort of sense. The first one is this 52 lists project. This is a year of weekly journaling inspiration by Morea Seal. And it's 52 lists, one for each week of the year. And they have things like list 10 things that you should ignore. So it starts here at the beginning. First of all, this book is just very aesthetically pleasing for my life at this point. And there's information in here about what the 52 list project is. But it starts off with winter, and then it goes into spring, summer, and fall. So it's divided seasonally. I mean, it's a beautiful book. So like list 3 lists the happiest moments of your life so far. And list 27 is where I started. Now, of course, I didn't finish this in a week. I still have more to add to this. But I started in the summer because that's when I purchased the book. But it says list the things that make you feel healthy, mind, body, and soul. And then they also have take action points down here. So I just think it is a very beautiful book, a very nice book. And it's something one day that if I, complete this, I'd like to believe that I could put it away someday, and when the kids are older, they can find it and they can see where my headspace was at in this year that will be captured within this book. So I really like this, and it's a hardcover, so it's a nice little keepsake, and I feel like it's one of those books that would make a very cool like coffee table book if you're okay with like your list being available, you know, for people to kind of peruse, or it's just a cool gift for friends, you know, kids who are going off to college, and if they're writers or interested or very like introspective, reflective students, you know, this would be neat. Housewarming gifts, all sorts of things. I just think this would be a cool gift as a book as well. I would have been happy to receive it. The next one I have wanted for a long time, since it was, I believe the original one was like 615 or 612 things to write about, but I picked up the 712 more things to write about. This is by the San Francisco Writers Grotto. Basically it has all of these writing prompts in it. One of them is, your car is at the mechanic's, so you rent one for the day. While loading up groceries, you open the trunk and discover a suitcase, and then you just write about it. And some of the prompts you have more space to write, like this one has a whole page. You have just been handed $5 million to start your own company, doing whatever you are passionate about. What is it? What do you do first? What do you do second? Literally 712 endless amounts of inspiration. And I haven't shared this in a video. I don't believe. I may have mentioned it in a blog post at some point, but one of like my goals in life is to write a book. I have so many that I've started and then haven't finished, and then I have so many short stories that I've started and completed that I'd like to like expand into a full book, but I just haven't gotten to that point yet. And a huge reason for that is that I really haven't explored writing and improved my writing and my creative writing process in many, many years. So this is kind of a jumping off, restarting point for myself. Said writing isn't really a skill that I want to completely lose. You know, it's something that has to be worked at and worked on and creatively explored. So this book, for those of you who are interested like I am, or the 615, 612 version, are good places to start. Just endless places to kind of creatively release yourself with a book like that. So that finishes off everything from Barnes & Noble. This next book I actually ordered from Amazon, and this is Catering, a guide to managing a successful business operation. This was written by Bruce Mattel and the Culinary Institute in America, or CIA. The second edition, it's a hardcover book, and it just goes into and really breaks down like everything from your introduction to catering all the way to environments, recipe software, websites to look at, how to hire staff, how to set up a catering kitchen. This is definitely a textbook. I purchased this for a couple of reasons. One, I have a very small itty bitty on the side catering business in my life off of YouTube. And two, I actually work with a catering company on a semi-regular basis that isn't my own company. And so it's just one of those things that I like want to hone in on. I really love catering. The other side of me, like there's a lot of things that I'm really into, and I'm trying to make this decision. Basically, I've set a goal for myself before I turn 30, which is in about 3 years, to figure shit out and know what direction my life is going from 30 forward. Because my 20s, I don't think they've been wasted. I would never say that because I've done a lot of things in life, but I've definitely gone down different paths than what I ever pictured myself doing in my 20s. And I feel like as my 20s kind of ebb towards a close and my 30s open up, I want to make more conscious decisions about what I'm doing with my life. That's why you're going to see books like this making an appearance in these book hauls, because I've done catering for years and years and years, and it's something I'm passionate about. Food is something I'm passionate about, connecting people with food. But is that really the business that I want to start and potentially build a lifestyle around? And is it even possible? So yeah, that's why I have this book. A book that I want to mention from Amazon that I did not purchase. My mom actually purchased this for Danielle for her birthday, and it is probably one of the sweetest books ever. This tugged on my heartstrings in a big way. Growing up, poetry played such a huge role in my young life. I actually have a couple of books of poetry I received as a child that I still have, that I like are among, you know how when people ask you that question, like if you could only grab like 5 things outside of like your family and pets when you leave your house, if your house is on fire, in terms of natural disaster, zombie apocalypse, those books of poetry that I received as children are like on that list. It's called I Love You, A Gift of Love and Poetry for Children, Poem and Images by Donald Verger. And it's just really cute. Like, I love clouds, I love sky, I love birds, I love bees, but it's you I love most of all. And it just goes through, and it's just this beautiful poem, and Danielle was so excited to receive it, but it's just a sweet book. It's not very long, and I feel like this is a book that every child should receive. Moving along, now the rest of the books that I have here were purchased at Fireside Books, which, like I mentioned, is my favorite local bookstore, and we were just there today. This stack of books is from today, and then this other stack of books is from a few weeks ago, and I haven't actually gotten around to reading these yet, so I figured I'd just talk about them. The first two are by Janet Ivanovich. Now, I have read her Stephanie Plum series for years. It's a very easy read, a very quick read. It's a good, like, read for me when I'm kind of, like, not in the mood to have to, like, super immerse myself in a plot, and they're very, like, character-driven, basic, simple books, and, like, the synopsis of them is kind of the same throughout all of them. Stephanie Plum, she's in her, like, mid-30s, from Jersey. There's guy she's attracted to. She basically gets divorced, loses her original job, becomes a bonds agent or a bonds enforcement agent for her wacky cousin in Jersey, and has to bring in all these, like, characters of criminals and collect the money, and that's how she makes her money. And, like, stuff in her life is always getting blown up. Criminals are always finding out her personal identity and going after her. Like, it's very consistently the same, and there's, as of right now, there's 22 books in the series, about to be 23. There's one being released, I think, in November of this year. So they're good books. They're like the kind of books that you would probably read waiting in a doctor's office, if I'm being completely honest. But I've loved them, and they've held a special place in my heart for a very long time, and part of it is because my sister-in-law and my mother-in-law both read them, so it's something fun that we all kind of joke about. I decided to give this other series of hers a try. This is the Wicked Charm series, a Lizzie and Diesel novel. Now, this one is also written with Fiof Sutton, I believe is how you say that. I'm not quite sure what this series is about. I purchased both of these books used, and I believe this is the second and the third, or the second and the third. I don't even know. I need to purchase the first one on my Kindle because they didn't have it. And then I'm just going to go ahead and read them. And from what I can tell, Lizzie and Diesel, like, solve mysteries, crimes, I think, basically. I have no idea. There might be a little bit of magic involved, suspense. I'm not sure. I will check in with you guys. Maybe I will do a separate video on these as well once I get to that point. I just haven't yet. I just purchased them because I knew they'd be easy reads at some point, but I have all these other books that I'm reading instead, so that's what happens. This next book is called The Shadow of the Wind, and this is by Carlos Ruiz Zafón. This takes place in Barcelona in 1945, and I just started the first chapter of this a couple of days ago, so I'm not very far into it, but this man, who's the son of this antique book dealer, mourns the loss of his mother, finds this book, and then when he goes to find the other books written by this particular author, they're being destroyed. And that's as much as I know right now, because that's as far as I've gotten, and that's also pretty much the synopsis that's on the back of the book. But it intrigued me enough for me to purchase it and bring it home, so I will let you guys know how it goes once I've read it. Changing up a little bit, we're going to talk about books for the kids, and then the last couple books we'll talk about are mine. I picked up 4 books that are on the Battle of the Books list this year, and if you don't know what Battle of the Books is, I will link it below. It's basically a book reading program where kids in schools read certain books and they kind of compete with their knowledge of the book. That's like the very small description of what it is. I recently just figured out what it was. It wasn't something that was around when I was in school, but it's something that I'm hoping I can start a team for the kids at our charter school that we're partnered with Homeschool. So I figured, since I was at Fireside Books today, I would pick these up for the kids. They're great books for them to read anyway, and then if we do go down the Battle of the Books direction, I'm going to look into that for them, because I think it would be a fun way to put a spin on reading that would inspire them to maybe read a little bit more, because they're competing and working towards something with another team and other kids who are passionate about reading. Danielle, since she's in 2nd grade, I picked her up one of the books for the K through 2 level, and this is by Shannon Hale and Dean Hale, The Princess in Black. It's illustrated by Llewellyn Pham. Danielle already started reading this today and seemed to be really excited about this. It's very well illustrated and bright and colorful, and it seems to be really neat. It's basically about this girl, a princess, Princess Magnolia, and she transforms into her alter ego and confronts monsters and villains as the Princess in Black. I can already tell by how quickly Danielle was reading it that her reading level, she's well past this level of book, but if it's a book she likes and it's a series, I don't mind her reading it, obviously, because whatever inspires your kids to read, let them read. And then for Nikolai, when I saw this book, I instantly thought of him. So the kids like to pretend to play Chopped Chef and all sorts of things. Probably for me working in the food industry and obsessively watching cooking shows whenever we're somewhere that has cable. Like if we stay in a hotel and has a Food Network, it's on. I thought all of the kids would enjoy this too, but Nikolai, this like little rutabaga character, it looks like him to me, okay? So this is Rutabaga the Adventure Chef by Eric Colossal, and what a cool concept for a book. This is basically, there's dragons, haunted squash, danger, and this little boy, or at least he seems like a little boy, who is an adventure chef, and it's written in a graphic novel format, and I think this is amazing. I've always really appreciated graphic novels, and this is just a really cool kids one, and it's really awesome too that it's included in Battle of the Books. So we picked that one up. We also grabbed a copy of Nathaniel Flood, Beastologist, Book 1, Flight of the Phoenix, and this is by R.L. Lefevre's, illustrated by Kelly Murphy. And this, I believe, is about a 10-year-old boy whose parents are lost, and he gets sent off on an expedition with a relative, I believe, and it like leads to all these different adventures in his life. So that's pretty much all that I can gather from the synopsis on the back cover, but there's illustrations throughout, and it's a soft paperback. Rutabaga and Nathaniel Flood are on the Battle of the Books list for 3rd and 4th grade, and so is this last one. And this is Stella Bats Needs a New Name by Courtney Shinmel, illustrated by Jennifer A. Beal, and this is an autobiography from the perspective of Stella Bats. And Liliana started reading this today, and she seems to really enjoy it. Stella Bats, her parents own a candy store called Confections, and she writes about her friends, people, and about wanting to change her name. I just thought that would be interesting for the kids to read as well. Last couple of books are mine. I mean, this one. We're going to end on that one, okay? Yeah. This one, however, I picked out because I was just browsing, and I read the synopsis on the back cover, and this is probably falls right in line with what I love to read in terms of my own leisure, enjoyment, fulfillment. I'm already impressed, like reading the back cover. I was reading it, I was like, and it just like, I was so interested in the book just from reading the back cover. I almost bought the next 2 books in the series because I was like, I'm gonna read this in a day. I'm gonna pull this out on a day when it's rainy, the kids are settled in the house, I don't have any other responsibilities, because I'm just gonna go like this. I'm gonna start and I'm not gonna wanna stop. Or I'm gonna pick it up at bedtime and I'm gonna read until 4 in the morning. This is by Lev Grossman, The Magicians. It's about this person named Quentin Coldwater. He's a high school math genius, fascinated with children's fantasy novels in a magical land called Filroy. I think he ends up finding out about the story of Filroy. Some people compared it to like Narnia and Harry Potter. This one might get its separate review. This book has been out for a while, I believe, so you guys can probably watch another video review on it or check it out on Goodreads or something like that, because I think it came out in 2009. It came out in 2009. So, and it also now has an original series on Sci-Fi. Hello. That's even better to me. I'm going to read this book series and then I can watch it. Yes, thank you. The last book probably doesn't need much of an introduction, but I picked up a copy of Harry Potter and the Cursed Child, parts 1 and 2. J.K. Rowling changed my life. It is also written by John Tiffany and Jack Thorne, and it's a new play by Jack Thorne. This is the 8th story 19 years later. I should have taken the kids to the midnight release of The Cursed Child at Barnes & Noble, but I didn't even realize it was happening. I actually thought the book was getting released next month, and that's what happens when you're trying to pick out homeschool curriculum and plan your children's lives instead of focusing your own on Harry Potter. Anyway, that completes this book haul. I hope you guys enjoyed this, something that I've always felt passionate about, and I'm going to share it with you guys. So let me know down below what books you're reading. I will be doing at the end of August a recap of all the books I read in July and August, and I will also be doing individual book reviews for books that I have read, and I'll be sharing the kids' favorite books. So I'm kind of going to be doing some a lot of book related videos for you guys. One video in particular that I'm working on, kind of trying to capture my thoughts and ideas and what I want to say about these books, because as we can probably tell, I like to ramble, is a video that's going to be about the books that have affected my life the most. So probably my top 3 to 5 favorite books of all time that affected my life in a big way and moved me as a reader. And that's just taking a little bit of time to put together. Just a lot of book related things coming your way. Like I've said 500 times, let's rewind this if you're of age and make this a drinking game. I am very passionate about books and reading, and so I just think I've come to a point in my life where I'd like to share that with you guys. So that's what I'm going to be doing, and hopefully you will enjoy this part of my journey with me, and we can talk about amazing books and what we're reading together. So leave me a comment down below what you've been reading, what you've been loving, what book affected you the most in life, and as always, lots of love from Alaska. I will see you guys again very soon in another video.